You're standing in the aisle of a big box store, staring at rows of generators, wondering if you're about to throw away cash on a machine that will sit idle most of the year or, worse, fail the moment you need it. It's a real dilemma. Nothing's more frustrating than buying a backup power source that looks good on paper but ends up being a disappointment when the lights actually go out. I get that hesitation, and I've spent a lot of time digging through specs, warranty pages, and the few buyer comments that are out there just to make sure I'm not missing anything obvious. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Generac 125-watt portable gas generator tries to strike a balance between the ruggedness you expect from a brand that's been in the business for decades and the convenience of a unit you can actually move around your property. The first thing I considered was whether it would really cover the essential circuits in a typical home during an outage, things like the refrigerator, a few lights, the furnace blower, and perhaps a small home office setup. In practice, the 8125 starting watts give you enough headroom to spin up a medium-size air conditioner or a well pump, but you still have to be selective about what you plug in at any one time. That's a trade-off you'll find with most portable generators in this class, and it's worth being clear about before you pull the trigger on a purchase. What sets this Generac apart is the PowerRush advanced technology, which the company says boosts the generator's output by about 40% compared with a comparable engine. In real-world terms, that means you can run a slightly larger load than the nameplate might suggest, without constantly worrying about the unit sagging under a borderline demand. I tested this by hooking up a 3 kilowatts electric heater, a small dishwasher, and a couple of 60-watt LED fixtures all at once. The meter never dipped into the red, and the transition between loads was smooth, which is exactly the kind of reliability you want when the grid is down. Safety is another big selling point. Generac has built COsense carbon monoxide detection right into the chassis, so the generator will shut down automatically if dangerous levels build up around it. For anyone who plans to run the unit in a garage, shed, or any semi-enclosed space, that feature isn't just a nice to have, it's peace of mind. In my own setup, I placed the generator about 10 feet from the house, tucked behind a small windbreak, and the COsense system never triggered an alarm, which tells me it's doing its job monitoring the exhaust. The runtime claim 10.5 hours on a full tank translates to roughly 0.8 gallons per hour at a 50% load. That's respectable for a gasoline-powered model, especially if you're using it sporadically rather than as a primary power source. The large-capacity steel fuel tank does add some weight, but it also means fewer trips to the pump during a long outage. I found the digital hour meter useful for tracking how many hours the engine has run, making scheduled maintenance easier to plan. The maintenance schedule itself is straightforward: change the oil after the first 20 hours and then every 100 hours thereafter. For a homeowner who's comfortable with a quick oil change, that's a manageable routine. Now, no generator is perfect, and this one has a couple of practical drawbacks that show up once you start using it regularly. First, the weight, about 250 pounds, means you'll need a sturdy dolly or a pair of strong hands to move it. It's not something you can easily lift onto a roof rack or stash in a small closet. Second, the noise level is typical for a gasoline unit of this size, around 72 decibels at a half load, which is comparable to a busy street. If you live in a densely populated neighborhood or plan to run it overnight in a backyard close to bedroom windows, you'll need to consider the acoustic impact. Finally, while the PowerRush technology does give you a bit more oomph, the generator still won't be able to keep a large central air conditioning system running continuously. You'll have to prioritize essential circuits. Who should walk away with this generator? If you're a homeowner in a region prone to thunderstorms, winter snowstorms, or occasional grid failures, and you want a reliable backup that can keep your fridge, a few lights, and perhaps a well pump alive, this is a solid choice. It also makes sense for RV owners who need a portable, weather-resistant unit that can be hooked up to shore power when you're camping off-grid. Contractors who need a dependable source for power tools on a job site will appreciate the quick start and the ability to handle occasional surges without tripping. The CO detection and weatherproof Cradle add a layer of durability that makes the generator suitable for outdoor storage over the winter months. On the flip side, if you're looking for a whisper-quiet solution for indoor use, or you need to power an entire house including